on the MLS number, wait for the report to load up. This is some long load time here. And we finally get to the photos, and then we click on it and start looking through the photos. So I'm going to show you how to bring in a small photo into that Agent One line display. So we get back to the Agent One line display.
It is.
Joy, you're so anxious.
This is going on. I'm excited.
Right. Yeah, you know, these columns, these are the regular columns of information, and you scroll to the right, there's more, right?
Right.
And you know, I wasn't there when they picked these. If it was up to me, I'd probably have them in maybe in a different order. Some of these columns I probably would not have there. I bring in other columns I would feel should be there. And same for you. And we all have that ability to customize it and remove columns, add in columns,
I didn't know that.
move columns around, which I'll show. We'll finally show how to add in a small photo. But this is also how to add in any column. Now, I have my pointer to the right of ST name. It's a blank area to the right of ST name. So within a column heading, you're going to click on a blank spot within it. But here I'm going to do it within ST name column heading. I'm going to click on that blank spot. And then we'll see an option to insert column. Right there.
Are you right clicking?
Just a regular click.
I'm just going once.
Just left.
Yep.
The regular click. So yes, clicking on a blank spot within the column heading, which I like to do to the right of ST name because there's a lot of blank area there. I'll click, insert column.
Got it.
Now either I can scroll down that list looking for what I want, one that's called photo small, but I'd have to scroll down pretty far. So instead into that search field, I'll type in a keyword like small or photo. When I type in small, it jumps down to photo small. I will highlight it, click on apply.
This is so cool.
Right, exactly.
Woohoo!
And I also show
Oh, I
this-
love it.
I got my takeaway.
We're gonna get to the point where we save it, because if we took time and remove some columns, add in other columns, rearrange the columns, took 5 minutes to do that, probably want to save it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because yes, if we just log out and log back in, it's gonna go back to normal.
the default, yeah.
But yeah, that function there in this particular topic, I used to show it last. I think it was the talking points, but it was last. But obviously I got a big reaction out of all of them. Now I just do what I get.
Now you got our
I
attention.
just clicked on it and then you can see all the pictures.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point of it, right? You have it there in place all the time, then you just click on the photo from here, it loads up quick, and then we can start flipping through
No
photos.
way.
So
Save you
sweet.
so
Whoa,
much time.
time saver.
Cool.
That's the name of it. You can move them. I'm like, okay, but how do you save it?
Right, we'll get to that.
Okay, I'm like moving stuff around right now. I'm like ready. I'm excited.
Right, we're moving around. As they were mentioning, let's say, the price is over here, I can drag that over here to the left, that's where I want it instead. Where we want to place it. Other columns you don't care to have, you can click within a blank area of a column heading, and then you'll have an option to remove that column. So I'm just demonstrating. There.
I don't even know what some of these acronyms mean.
You probably don't know what this means, but you know what these mean.
Yeah.
Not
Standard sale.
standard sale. Standard sale.
So you're right, you really don't need that in this. When short sales are
In
around and
this
stuff,
area, they're
maybe.
mostly going to be standard anyways.
Yeah.
But the SLC column, it stands for special listing conditions. I
No.
don't really like the name of that. They're not special listing conditions. They're just the listing conditions. But mostly in this area, they're going to be STD for standard sale. But other times you might see for probate, PRO. For auction, AUC.
But
Notice
since
the
nobody
default,
was looking at that
NOD.
column anyway, it doesn't really matter to have it on your homepage
Right.
there.
So I can click on that blank spot there, remove column. This first column is just a number column. It's just numbers on okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but if you didn't want it, we can remove it. Edit column.
Oh, that's a general listing, right?
Right. I think that's a column is a waste of time as well, because
I do too. Because I go to
what that is
edit.
for, if you ran a regular search
Right.
and you're at this screen, if one of these listings is yours, then there'll be a little pencil icon there to edit. But that's not where we're gonna go to and edit our listing. We're just gonna go to our own listing section.
Right.
kept it in a blank space. Is it?
It was there and it moved.
Okay, got it, yep.
All right, so how to save it now?
Okay, watch.
Again, as we say, as we move things around, add things in. If you want to save it permanently, I mean, not entirely permanently, but you can reset it back to normal. But this, just below the results tab, there's this gray or gear settings icon here.
Mm-hmm.
You click on that once, you click on the first link that shows up, that will save it as a default.
Ah,
So to save your changes, clicking on that little settings icon below the results tab, clicking on the first link. There's only two choices there. One saves it as a default, the first link, and then the last one just changes it back to normal.
got it.
Cool.
Now will it do for all of our searches or just that certain search?
It will be specific to the property type. In this case, this was a residential search, so all my residential searches, when I get to the search results, it would look like this. So you can have different ones on your land search and different ones on your lease searches, whatever you created on.
So same thing with you doing this, if we go to one of the other columns like the acreage and square footage, if I just wanna see the square footage, not the acreage, cause that, I just wanna see the square footage.
Okay, so you want to kind of remove the one that has a combo
Yeah.
and
that's-
just have the
is that
lot
it?
size?
Yeah.
I
Is that
believe
what
we
it would
can
be?
do that. Let me,
Cause it just says acreage and square footage. on the
so I'm gonna click on a blank spot, but I could do it anywhere. I'm gonna go to insert column. And we should have one that's just the lot size, or the
Yeah,
the
square
for the
footage,
square
what would
footage.
you
Let me
type
check.
in?
So I'm gonna click on insert column.
Lot LS?
It's, you don't have a column that says
No, it
square
says acreage and square footage, but I thought if I
For the
put,
lot.
I don't wanna see both.
Lot size dimensions.
Oh, you
Add
just
in-
want lot and not
Yeah,
acreage.
right.
Lot size area is the one you wanna bring in.
Oh.
Lot size
Wait,
area.
let me see. Really,
Lot
LS?
size area. If you, when you go to insert a column and click on insert column,
Yeah,
just type in
I got it.
the
there,
keyword.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's the first time I heard that request. And so I just figured it was probably in there somewhere.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
so as she mentioned, she just wanted the square footage wise, and it's this one here, we have a combo. So I brought in lot size area, perhaps I want to click on this blank spot and the one that has a combination and remove that particular
Thank you,
one.
yeah.
What does the V stand for next to PP?
The V stands for
Yeah.
view, if there's any kind of view indicated on that listing. It's just a yes or no option there, but,
What's PP?
private pool.
Oh, whoops.
How do you add it back in? Like, say you decide you want to add it out. You took it out, but you want to add it back in. You just go back to this regular.
No, I removed, I removed special listing conditions, right?
Okay.
If I was gonna add it back in, I'll just click on a blank spot within a column heading,
Oh, and then you
insert column, and then look for that item I may wanna bring back in.
Okay.
So can you just type
So
in
I can-
PP and then it will put that in?
It's already there, isn't it?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, the PP is already
So
there.
it goes to the.
If I removed it,
Can you- or-
good question.
I'm just curious if you can type in PP then.
Remove that, cause that one is a little different than some of the other columns, cause the other columns are specific to information that was entered by you. But that one's kinda like an automatic one. Let me see if I try to re-add private pool. Private PP is not gonna work.
Yeah, it says private pool, yes, no, that's what it goes
Okay.
to.
Alright, so
Took
private,
it out.
private pool, pool private, yes, no. Oh, but here's the one that is the auto on the grid. So the one that's kind of built into the grid is the first one.
Oh, I
But if
see.
you're in a residential search, all your residential searches will look like that. But if you're doing land, it will look like this.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Sometimes you may not bring in a column to save it permanently though. Sometimes you might just wanna bring in a column of information just for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Let me run a smaller search here to do that kind of example. So here I got 21 listings, but let's say I just had 10 or 21. if I wanted to identify what homes are vacant,
Yes.
if I don't change this view, I have to look at every single report. I'm gonna click on the MLS number and go through every single report and check to see which ones are vacant, which is gonna be few in this case. I'm gonna go through 21 to find out there's 2. So instead, we can bring in that column in a matter of seconds. And the name of that particular column, who knows the name of that column?
Occupancy status or what?
You're going right in the right direction. Occupant type.
Type.
Occupant type. So I will click on this blank spot next to ST name. I'll click on insert column. I'll start typing in the keyword occupant. I'll just type OCC. And we'll see occupant type. And I'll add that column in. And it's gonna bring that in.
Yep.
I can sort it. I can click on occupant type once. Click on occupant type twice. Now if they're, yeah, lucky that I said there was only gonna be 2 out of these 21.
You guessed it right.
Makes it easier.
And so, just a matter of seconds, I found out, okay, there's only 2 out of these 21 that are vacant, and I had to look at every single report to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is very.
So anytime you run a search and you're thinking you're gonna check each report for some type of information, you could just bring it in as a column.
Totally.
Whatever that information is that you wanna bring in.
So if you want to look for single stories or 2 stories, you can just do it the same way.
Yeah, in that case, you could add in the column of stories, but also another way, we could go back to criteria and add that criteria if that's what we wanted.
Right.
But definitely.
So like when I'm searching for a condo for a client, a lot of times they'll say, I just want
Ground floor.
downstairs.
Mhm.
First floor, or I just want upstairs, and
Yeah,
that would be a
that's-
great one to just do plug in.
To bring in that
What would
column.
you recommend?
Yeah, for upstairs condos, that's a
You're
hard one.
assuming that the agent filled it in properly on that
Yes,
one.
I know.
because
Yeah,
was-
That is correct.
That's
Yeah,
true for all these,
that's
but
probably
especially
too.
that one's a hard one because it's like,
You're right.
I always think, well, too, like when it asks, how many floor,
Yeah.
entry level, are you supposed to put
Exactly.
0? Are you supposed to put 1? What are you supposed to put?
Right, that's the tricky part of that one.
Yeah.
What she just mentioned
Right.
is
Don't
it's
say
called
all
entry
that.
level.
Yes.
It's called entry level. So, okay, 1 if it's on first floor, and this is 2 on the second floor. But a lot of people get confused by that
They don't know what to
entry
do.
level.
Well, and
Should
then
be
you
a
got the
different verbiage for
Mallorcas
it,
where
really.
Yeah.
entry level can be the mid unit. You go downstairs to go to the lower
Lower
unit and
unit.
upstairs to get.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
it gets
right.
confusing.
Well, that's
Even
still
like,
would be
I don't,
one.
yeah, some homes that are.
But entry level,
stories,
but 1
but
would be entry
there's
level,
stairs
2 would be
outside to
entry
go
level.
up to the door.
Wow, that is
Right,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
the carriage units.
Uh-huh. So yeah, that one's
So
not
it's-
really gonna be efficient trying to do that type of
You
search.
just gotta know, we gotta look at pictures of the house.
So, yeah, I
Well, the
just
agent
did
put it in
entry
right.
level, and a lot of them, agents didn't put anything, and they
Right.
want
We
to
should
put
get rid
one.
of these.
They're like, I'm just gonna put 1 there.
We should camp in our front yard till they quit. I'm sorry, that got very
All right,
political.
That should be a mandatory, I mean, I wonder if something MLS can do.
Yeah, like, you
for
gotta enter that
it's-
in.
If it's a condo, it should be like you need to tell us
Those red ones that,
specifically.
that you have to fill in. Yes.
Because we have clients that are constantly,
I'll bring that up. I'll bring that up.
And actually, as realtors, we can go out and preview. We can do that too.
Or
Well,
look
when
at
it
the
was
pictures.
crazy,
You
we
can look
could
at
not
the
preview.
pictures.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But we're coming into a more normal market.
All right, moving on to other time savers. But again, so I brought in the occupant type, and so I don't necessarily have to save it into the default. Maybe I just wanted it just for the moment, so I could just not do anything. And then, if I log out, log back in, then it'll be back to whatever I did set as a default.
So if you went to a different, say you kept the occupancy type, but
Mhm.
then you said, oh, well, let me go back and do another search because I want to include a couple different
Mhm.
cities, would you still have to add that in, or is that considered the same search?
It would be in the same search, yes. If I did go back to criteria and really put anything or rerun a different search,
Add a
whatever it may
city
be, then it should still be there. So it's still there.
Okay.
But only when I log out and
Mhm.
log back in, then it'll go back to whatever the last default that I saved.
Okay, cool. That's nice.
That is
So to
very
save it,
cool.
I'm sorry, one more time, we hit set current display.
You'll click on
Settings.
this Yes, that settings icon,
Here.
click on the first one.
And then how do you take it off though? Like if I don't want the pictures?
You have to either do
You have
it
to delete
individually
that
or
You
reset.
can delete that column. So that one is a little tricky because there's not a lot of blank area, but yeah, it should just be
You
able to.
can
Can
widen
you,
the
yeah,
column.
get
Yes,
the column
yeah.
You
bigger.
can
Right,
widen.
yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes when you're,
Then you have to panoramic. No.
Oh,
you can widen columns to make a larger area, click, and then remove.
It's not as pretty though.
No, but see, that's.
You want pictures?
Just send it that way.
You could also bring in, you can bring in fields that have a lot of text as well, such as showing instructions, but in those cases, some prefer to just
Do the
switch
four
this
line or whatever. Yeah.
to one of the agent ones, like whether agent medium or agent short, to get to that information.
Yeah.
So that might be a faster way instead of bringing in a column that has a lot of words.
Right.
Because bringing in a column that has a lot of words, it's gonna make that column really wide. And then but you can go, and then you can scroll all the way to the right and then narrow it. You can do that, but it looks kind of odd. But let me move on to other kind of time numbers here. And just to make it a familiar view, I'm just gonna switch back to the normal default. Now, all of you have likely saved a search. Save searches, rerun them. How many of you actually use the favorite searches? Favorites. When you do save a search, there's an additional check mark box to mark it as a favorite. Do any of you use that?
Can you have 12 or something?
Yeah,
That is
your
correct.
matrix.
You can have up to 12 favorite searches. So a couple people use that. And so, yeah, saving a search is not uncommon. You click on save, you click on new saved search, you give it a name, whatever you're gonna name it.
I apologize that I had to step up, but I have a question on that. We used to be able to do a search that was, agent only view. So when you would get your auto email, like
Oh.
I'm doing
Correct.
I like to have a Laguna Hills thing, so I get a Laguna Hills one. So I get emailed, I'll get my One Home portal, it's not agent view.
Yeah.
So I can't look at the things that I really care
Yeah.
about, I have to copy the MLS number, go
That
to
is
the
correct.
other app.
So the current auto emails do not have an agent view, an agent
That was
display.
something we used a lot.
They're working on that right now.
Good.
Okay, that was my biggest question too, honestly.
Isn't there a link though further down where you can click and it
Yes,
goes
was
to matrix?
originally set, if we've done anything new since they made the change, that's not.
Oh, cause mine do that. Okay, got it. But mine's old. Okay, got it.
If it was pre-made prior to the change.
And it was,
does
yeah.
that, but
Okay.
not anything new.
So when you save a search, give it a name, there is the check mark box to mark it as a favorite. Check mark it, save. So that makes it faster to rerun those save searches. Because running a save, it's still a save search, but it's also now a favorite search. Because the way we run a save search, there's a handful of actions we have to take. We have to put our pointer over my matrix, scroll down, clicking on save searches, then we find the search name, we click on the search name, and then we finally click on results to finally rerun that. There's a handful of actions and clicks going on there.
So can you make it a favorite after the fact, just by going to the criteria?
Yes, when you go to your save searches and you click on one, then you'll click on settings, and then you'll mark it as a favorite. So that's kind of a way, if you're logging into the MLS system on a daily basis, you know, instead of, because the auto emails no longer, currently don't have an agent view, this would be a quick way to run a search, save it, mark it as a favorite, and then from our homepage, once you do start using the favorite searches, mark it, save search as a favorite, then there'll be a section on your homepage marked favorites. And they'll have whatever ones you have marked there, you click on it. So one click from the homepage, one click on that Irvine one I just created will of course rerun that save search.
So I do it actually for the agents on our team. I have buyers and then listings. And whenever I want to go in and add or delete somebody, it wipes out the whole search. Is there a reason for that? And I have to re-input everybody again.
Oh, wow.
And then also, it'll only let me do, I think, a dozen agents on a search, so our team's bigger
So
than.
it's, you have a safe search
Right.
that you've attached
Team
multiple
sales.
contacts to?
No, what I'm doing, I'm researching the agents, so I have the different agents as anything that they've listed or anything they've sold. And then it emails me to tell me that something went into escrow or whatever, and, or it closed. And, if I go in, like, let's say somebody tragically leaves our team, or we have a new agent join our team, and I go in to add it or delete it, it wipes out that whole search. I have to re-input everybody again.
Would you put that under carts instead, or would you, I'm just wondering.
So you have a safe search, in which case you have in the listing agent field, you
All
have
of our info.
added a lot of.
And it only lets me add
And
12,
then
so
when
I
you
have to
go
have
in there and
multiples.
try to remove one, it deletes them all out.
In that 12?
Huh.
So just a FYI, if you guys wanna work on that, I live around it. I mean, I do workarounds, that doesn't have to happen that often, so I just redo it
So what I do is I save a particular person, one person.
at a time.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. I could do that. Oh, that's true. I could do that.
In my saved search.
Well, then you don't have to look up who it is. Cause I'm always curious who's sold what or who's got a new listing and it's like, oh, I wanted to reach out.
So you just want it for,
Never mind.
certain
What she
agents?
just said, I'm gonna go ahead and do it that way.
Okay.
I'll do it per agent. That's a good way to do it. Yay.
well, I was gonna say,
So I do.
But you have to do it for the
You have to do it
listing
for
and the
the whole
buy side,
office.
so.
Yes. Listing and sale.
Pardon?
That's a lot
oh,
of.
you could just do it for the whole
Do I
office.
have your listing and sale?
Yeah,
But I
we
just
don't-
want our
we don't
team.
want our-
Oh, okay, you got a team within.
Yeah, we've got like
the
25 on our
office.
team,
Okay.
and so,
Okay.
yeah. That's okay. I got it figured out. That was good. I learned something there.
Well, I go to my saved search.
But I'll play around with that. I haven't heard that before.
Those are all my resets.
What are carts?
Well, the cards,
Should I?
it's a good thought,
I'm
but
guessing
the
we should.
cards are specific to, more saving listings. Saving listings.
What do you mean by that? So,
Let me go back to one of our searches we ran earlier. So here, we had 6 results, but it doesn't matter, we have 10, 20. So when we save a search, we're typically saving that to rerun the search criteria, active, single family, whatever city, and so on. Here, if I identified 1, 2, or 3 listings I want to save, put aside to look at those listings later, I can check mark some and put them into a cart.
okay.
So more specific to
So why would you do that?
saving listings.
Uh,
And for any, maybe
you
I'm,
show a client certain homes.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you don't wanna have to run all 12 again, you've got
Got
the
it.
5 that you're gonna go show them.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
I do it for like, yeah.
So yeah, maybe I identified 3 that you're gonna go show, or maybe you run the search and you don't have time to really look at the details for all 3 of these right now at this moment, so I could just put them aside into a cart.
And then you name the carts, just like you do your favorites or whatever?
So,
Okay.
check mark what you wanna set aside, you click on carts at the bottom. If it's a brand new cart, then you'll click on new cart, and then you'll give it a name. If you're creating it just for yourself, okay, name it after yourself. Maybe it's for a particular client, whatever you wanna name it.
What? Cause I have everyone in Regency under my carts. I have our whole.
Oh, so you look them up as an
And then I can
agent,
click on-
and you put the agent's
And
name
then I
into
can
a
click
cart.
on each agent
Okay,
on our team,
correct.
and then I can go under active listings, sold listings, whatever.
Okay,
Oh,
that's a
so
nice
can you
use.
show us?
So if you do a roster search for anybody's name, like somebody in the team, then you can check mark and you can put it into a cart. So that's,
Will it auto email you then?
Wait, can we finish this though? Cause so, go ahead with this.
Good question, then I don't.
and so I've given it a name, optional to attach a contact name, but
So that'd be like put
Click
your
on
client's
save.
name that you're showing.
client
Right.
name, would make sense. And so now those are set aside into a cart, those 3.
Keep everything.
And then somewhere on your homepage, you'll have card section, but my trainings, I remove it a lot of times, but, so I got my card section, bring that back on, here's the one I just created,
Regency,
Regency.
okay.
Click on it,
That's very
love
nice,
that.
I like that too, so that you're saying can be for the client when we've done a search and we've identified these 3.
yeah, she brought up a good point, if she's gonna take somebody to go see some homes later on in the week, set them aside into a cart that morning, go into the cart, obviously make sure they're still active,
Right.
check on any price changes.
I like that.
But anytime we run a search and we see a listing, we know we're gonna look it up, typically what you do is reach for a post-it note, write down the address or MLS number. Maybe some people print out a report, put that next to their computer to look it up and reference it later, or take the time to email it to themselves to
Right.
reference it later. But all those ways are gonna take longer than simply setting it aside into a cart.
Love it.
Easy. I was making a whole page of listing of like 6 to 8 listings.
See, there you go,
On one
baby.
paper.
So
It's like
Rudy,
gold.
say Monday I talked to client, we identified 3. Thursday, Friday, we identified a couple more. Can I still keep
Add to
adding?
it?
Yes,
There's an option.
Yeah,
Yes.
which cart you're doing it to,
And can you
Because when-
delete? That would be the other question.
yes.
so yes, I created the Regency cart already, right? Maybe I run another search
You missed some really good
hours
clips,
later, the
but I
next
did
day,
it.
I identify some more I wanna put into that cart, I'll just check mark,
Okay.
click on carts, since I already created that cart name, I'll click here and look for that cart name.
Okay. This is so
Yeah,
cool. I love it.
And then can you show how you delete one from it? Please?
Good question.
I
Removing listings from the carts. Do
It's, yeah, I haven't been able to do that.
you remember how to remove listings from the carts?
I don't think I have, I don't know.
The reason why I asked that, removing listings from the carts is the most mysterious thing ever in
I
the
literally
banking
have just,
system.
I'm like, I
When I
guess
was
you can't
first
do
learning.
it.
So your listings is different than the names here, right?
This section?
Now, under my cart where it says Regency,
Mhm.
when you're saying remove listings, you're not saying remove
No, like-
Regency or-
No, just the
Not
individual.
removing things from the
Like, let's say
cart.
one's sold,
Yes.
so you gotta take it out, you know,
Okay,
Let's say
or
a
whip
certain
pending.
client we were putting listings aside for,
right.
I don't know,
They
we found them all,
change
we
them
don't need
and they
anymore.
don't wanna see
You
them.
could either just remove the listings from the carts, and it won't be in the cart section anymore. Or I can go to, there's a certain section you can go to carts and just remove the cart as well. But either way.
So like if we click over open Regency number 5,
I'll click
You
on
wanna
Regency,
move 1,
And the third one down, we don't want anymore.
yeah.
and then, so you just check mark what listings you want to remove, which
Okay.
1, 2, or all of them. And then,
You're
so,
fine.
yeah, common sense has us looking for a remove or delete now,
Yeah.
which is, it's not there.
Right,
You're fine.
You have to click on the word carts, and we'll see remove check.
ah,
Yeah,
Okay.
and then it sweeps it
go under
away.
the cart, check mark what you wanna
Little
remove,
broom, yeah.
click on carts, remove checked.
None of us knew what carts was, but it's, I'm videotaping, so you can watch the, up to this point.
But what, when she brought up running a search for one of your team members, and we can put team members into a cart, or really any listing agent or agents. And so I just went to one of these random listings, and I'm gonna grab their ID. Obviously, you'll be able to look them up by name. But let me go to the top. So you can do an agent roster search, go into roster here, go into yellow pages for agent roster, where as I mentioned, it's easier looking up by ID, but otherwise, if you don't have it, maybe you're looking them up by first and last name and going to that result. And then, similar, check mark, click on carts, and then let's say you're creating a new cart, and then put your team name as the cart name. So whatever team name here, and then save. So then you could ask more team members, come and go. You can either remove them from that cart or
Because we
add
watch
more.
our team inventory.
So wait, I'm trying to save. How am I changing the name?
New cart.
Yes, new cart.
Add new cart.
So if you're creating it right now for your team,
Yeah.
you would do new cart
How am I-
and name it whatever you want to name it.
Oh, new cart. Yeah.
And now you were saying there's a way to check like their past inventory and
Oh.
stuff, what they've done?
So when you go into that cart,
My first one?
so here's the one I just named team name. So when I go into that cart, click into it, and here you'll have a list of yours that you put in there. And so you check mark one, then you can click on refine,
Or cards, I thought.
to refine, click on this, and then get to their active listings, all listings sold in the last 3 years.
No way.
Yeah, because I remember Ruthie showed that too. On top of that, I couldn't remember where to find it.
I use that all the time.
Yeah, to kind of see what your competitions, who you're going in to present
Yeah,
against or
you
whatever.
know what kind of agent they're
Yeah, you
based
do.
on. But, like, I've looked at that on me before, like on my, Marisa and I, my wife and I, and it doesn't seem like it's missed some before. Is
It
that
does.
possible?
Yeah, people don't record it, right?
What's that?
So some past transactions are not showing up there.
Yeah,
A couple of different things that could cause that. If you change boards,
Or different companies?
like
No, because you'd
some
have
of
your.
you are with Orange County Realtors,
Mm-hmm.
others might be with Pacific West, others might be with Laguna or Newport Association. And so obviously the listing ID is specific to what board you're with. If somebody was with Orange County Realtors for 20 years and then they changed this year, their user ID is going to change. And so when somebody looks them up, it's only going to show the current one, or the one on their current user ID. So that's one thing. Another possibility, if you were on the buyer's side, then you would have had to have counted on the listing agent to properly put you in as the buyer's agent. And that happens. That happens a lot.
that might be,
Because if
And that's a good point, because we should really be checking that.
yeah,
You should
we'll
probably go
check that
once
right
a
when it
year.
happens, right when things
Or
are
right away,
closing.
yeah.
When you close.
When things are closing, when things are going pending, what you want to do as a buyer's agent, email, text the listing agent, say, here's my user ID.
Right.
Please put me in properly as the buyer's agent. So you want to do that when things are closing, because you don't want to find, it's tough when you find out years later. 'Cause that's usually when people find out.
No,
Looking back at the inventory,
I've been there,
and
done
they're like,
that.
I think some transactions are missing. And then they go look at the listing and they weren't put in. And it's really difficult, especially if it's with Orange County, if the listing agent and the buyer's agent are both with Orange County Realtors, okay, that's fairly easy
Right.
for the fix through Orange County, it's one association. It gets difficult when listing agent is in with
Area, a different area.
Burbank or Inglewood, or even if it's Pacific West, which is close, but when it's different boards, then you gotta send out paperwork again, and say, when things are closing, as a buyer's agent, send that listing agent your user ID, say, put me in properly. And then when things close, check it right when it happens.
RTC requires that we get that printed for our files, so
Okay.
we should be checking.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Chris
we
is
were
doing
gonna
that.
ask what we should
Because I was
do.
gonna say, that's also a really good, well, but it's good to check it at the end.
Yeah, you have to
Because
put it
I'd put it on my
in.
checklist to double check it, just to make sure, because yeah, I just wrote a note to that.
So, I got a question. I just saved something in cart and I can't find cart on my page.
Oh, you mean like the renters page?
Right, so on the home page,
Yeah,
I mean, if you scroll down, and it should be somewhere.
it's not. I
Now-
might have cleaned it
She,
out.
I think she.
Look for the additional section and see if it's in there.
Where's the additional?
Additional, now the additional section, these sections could be moved around, so it's not necessarily gonna be in the same spot as mine.
Gotcha.
Could be in, it's fine.
Yes, the
I have a
additional.
question about carts, when we were on carts, when we were creating the cart for a client and you had those 3 listings,
Mhm.
is there any way to communicate or write in agent notes about each of those, like, oh, this one's hideous, or this one, yeah, we need to see this one, or this one stairs, blah, blah, blah?
No, because the cards don't really communicate with the client. You know, in your mind, you named it after it, so, but it's really not attached to it. So really on that, for that note, the cards are mainly for yourself to save.
What if you
But we
select
have
them
our
all?
own notes, like, for example,
Oh.
we
Okay,
show
I see
all
what you're
these,
saying.
like, we show 10 houses, and you're like, oh, it'd be nice to be able to put the notes
Okay.
right attached to
Okay,
the
that's
listing.
a good point, somebody has brought that up twice before.
What was that?
But yeah, the ability to put notes in the MLS for your own use on any
Yeah.
listing. So no, that capability is not there.
What about if you have a cart, like I'm doing this now, and it's like all the listings they've sent me, there's like so many of them, so I want them to look at them again and say, how many, like, what are your favorite ones to see? So I sent her the link, and I'm like, so I sent her the home link,
Okay.
actually I sent it to myself and then I copied the link, so maybe that's where I'm going wrong. I want her to like heart the ones that she likes,
Okay,
but she says she can't.
She can't.
Maybe I have to email it to her.
so that scenario, if we had a lot of listings in a cart and we wanna kind of resend them, and so I go into my cart and I would check mark all and then proceed to email them to that client and say, here's all the ones you mentioned, and which ones you really wanna go see.
Yeah,
And some of you, when you brought up one home, when you email listings, you know, they click on a link or picture, it takes them to one home. This is the website where they view the listings, right? And in order for them to mark properties as favorites,
Yeah.
they will have to create an account.
okay,
So that's the
so
thing that stops
I
them.
sent them my link, which is,
Okay.
that's not gonna work.
Okay, no, just
I see,
go to the regular email screen and email it to them.
okay, I see.
Since when you email listings, whether it's an automatic email or just one-time search, when they go, they can just look at the listings, click on pictures, read information, and then just reply back to you or text you back. But if they start using certain functions like marking as favorites, they try to type in a note, at that point, it becomes personalized to them. That's their favorite, that's their private note. And so it has them create an account, that way it can be secure.
Because they used to be able to type in notes and we could see them, is that because they've opened an account? They can only put in comments and heart them if they've opened a one home account.
Correct. In the past, it wasn't secure,
Got
and
it.
there was just, and really anyone, not anyone, but
People could have seen
those
it.
were open public links. But they wanted to make it secure since it's very personalized to them.
Thank you.
All right, let me go to a search page, talk about some ways we can save time. Here, this is the regular residential search here. And there's probably certain selections, certain items, or certain cities that it seems like you're always typing. And you kind of get tired of typing. So you can save defaults here. You can save defaults here. I'm just, in this example, let's say I'm an Irvine agent. Let's say I'm always, seem like I'm check marking active. I'm always check marking single family residence perhaps. Let's say I'm gonna type in Irvine, just pretend like I'm always typing in Irvine there. And so if I wanna save that as a default, then similar to the columns, so below the results tab, we'll click on that settings icon. We'll click on the first link, which will save that criteria as a default. This was on my residential quick search. So now, next week, tomorrow, I'm gonna run a search. And if I'm navigating to that same search page, let's say I'm going to my residential quick search, then active's already check marked, single family residence already marked, Irvine's already in place. So if I'm running that again, I can move on quickly to my price,
What if you have
bedrooms,
more than
bathrooms.
2 quick searches though? Will it give you options? How does it
No,
work? It's
only one
one.
default for each search page. I could have this default on my quick search. I can have a different default on my residential detail search.
Right.
different search
Can you
pages.
add any extra criteria to the quick search?
Yes, you can. I'll show that.
I don't like all the defaults there.
No problem.
So yeah, as she just mentioned, at the bottom of every search page, even on the residential detail search, not every single possible way to search is there. But at the bottom of all search pages, you will have the ability to add additional fields. So this is at the bottom of all search pages. Additional fields, you click on add,
Okay,
you can add in whatever you want. For example, I added cooling in one of my previous trainings. Because I'm on residential quick search, which doesn't have specific field for cooling.
got it.
So I can
That's
type
good.
in cooling. On the residential quick search, there is a cooling yes or no option. But if we want to select specifics like central air or any of those other ones, I need to bring in cooling features into my residential quick search.
Got it.
Otherwise, if I was in the middle of that search, then maybe I would switch back to going to the detail search. And when you add in those fields, since we added them at the bottom, that's where they'll be, and they'll just remain there. You don't have to keep re-adding it, it'll just sit there if
You
you
don't
ever
have
wanna
to
use
save
it.
it like you do
Right.
the other things.
Right, that just kinda auto
It
saves
just
that.
stays, okay.
And likewise, you can remove,
Mhm,
as
Exactly.
it says there. Okay, cool.
You're just in a regular search,
Correct.
and then you're adding that cooling to all of your
Right.
searches from here on out.
Well, if
Well,
you're on a
yes,
certain
no.
search page, and there's a certain way you wanna search and that field is not there, then you just go down to the bottom and you can add it. But there, I was on residence quick search, which doesn't have the cooling feature section, so we can add it. I wouldn't have, if you use detail search all the time, it's already there. On the detailed residential detail search, that field is already there, but not on the quick search. But definitely, putting in defaults, whether it's status, a subtype, city or cities, probably the most common thing you type in here in the bedrooms, maybe 3+. Statistically, that would be the case. So if I wanna save all of that, clicking on that settings icon, clicking on that first link to save that as a default.
And then obviously, if you wanna come in and, like, this is your default, and you went all of a sudden 2 bedrooms, you can change that
Right,
when you get to your default, got it. But it wouldn't save unless you saved it.
unless you click on that settings
Yeah.
icon. Now, sometimes, kind of frequently actually, when I show this and saving defaults, like city-wise, I might usually just talk about a nearby city. But some people speak out and say, well, I don't search the same city all the time. Of course, none of us do, right?
Right.
But having these defaults in place is not going to slow you down.
No.
It can only save you time. I have single family as a default. Okay, if I'm searching a condominium at that moment, it's still just one click to switch to it anyways.
Which is what it would have been anyway.
Yes. And city-wise, okay, I'm not searching Irvine right now. It's still just, one highlight, and then I'll just type in whatever city I'm gonna type in. So I still have to click into that field, but I could just quickly highlight it with holding down the left click and just highlight it, and then I'll just type in whatever other city I want.
Very
But
cool.
let's say, we can even type, obviously we can do default for multiple cities. Maybe those are the 3 main cities somebody searches: Tustin, Irvine, and Orange. And so if that was saved into their default, then once they get to their search page, that's already there. Okay, maybe they're just gonna search Orange at this moment. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly highlight and delete those other 2 out, and I can go on with my search. So, but whatever you could think of that's gonna help save you time to setting the search.
There's
page.
only
Maybe it's
5
just active.
condos available right now in Irvine with 3
I
bedrooms,
switched it to Orange.
or Orange, but I mean, no, in Orange, but I'm saying only 5, wow.
Oh, but I have 3+ here.
Yeah, still.
But active condominiums, Orange, 18. Other small time savers. When you start typing the city, so kind of moving away from default, but just some simplicity of when you start typing a city. Once I got up to the V in Irvine was highlighted. At that moment, when it's highlighted, it's selected. So I could stop typing at that moment, maybe move on to price, bedrooms, bathrooms, or if I was gonna search another city, I can hit the comma at that moment and then type in that other city. So these are not codes, there's just IRV. Irvine is first city in the city list that begins with IRV.
Oh, I love that.
That's
But so
cool.
from now on, if you wanna think in your mind, IRV is Irvine, that's all you have to type.
And then
Nice.
put the comma to
And then comma,
to set it.
Oh,
comma, and then go on to the next one, TUS is Tustin.
nice.
Sweet.
So again, not trying to tell you, try to memorize these different codes, but for your like top 3 cities, then you can just get in your head, like, forever. I know, like, and for Anaheim, you don't only have to ever type in Ann. And it's real helpful with some of the larger city names.
Yeah.
They have like 2 words in it.
Yeah,
Rancho Santa
San,
Maria.
Mhm, right.
Yeah.
Nice, that's really cool.
So San Clemente,
Right.
oh, San space CL, that's all you ever need.
Yeah, I didn't know
San
that.
space CL, that's all you'll ever need to type
Type
in.
the whole thing.
you're gonna be so
But-
quick now.
So if and when it highlights it, you can stop typing.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Didn't know that.
Me neither.
I never even heard of San Buenaventura. San Bruno. San Bruno. Did you know there's a San Bruno?
That's huge. Is there any other ones like that? I love that one.
But here's a scenario that you might have sometimes, and I'll show really just the functionality of what you could use. Sometimes you might have a client, they say they want to search in anywhere in Orange County. Anywhere in Orange County, certain price point, bedrooms, bathrooms, looking for. And then when you start emailing listings to them, then they'll come back to you and say, well, but not in this city, but not in that city, but not in that city. So they didn't really mean, or maybe they thought they meant all Orange County. But then they're like, no.
He knows them so well. You know my clients.
So you could select the county first. As you know, that filters the city list. So let's say we have them over the phone, or maybe you have them in person. And so we don't want to go through this section here. You can only see 5 at a time. So it's going to be kind of tedious going through that list. So after selecting the county, you can click on this little icon. Looks like it's supposed to look like 2 windows.
Mm-hmm.
But you click on that little icon to the right of the blank city list. It'll bring up this window, which we can see a lot more at one time. And then, again, whether we have them on phone or in person, we can go through this list and say, okay, what about this city? What about this city? And then we can select them from there. Now, either we're going to go through this list and use hold down the control key on on this PC and highlight whatever cities they said yes to, and then farther down, but keep going. And so we might go through that list and highlight all the cities they said yes to, and then we'll click on add in the middle, then move over to the right, we click OK, and then now they're all selected, and so that 1, we get a list to go through with them. 2, I didn't have to type all those city names out.
That's cool.
Which you can also do when I went to that little icon there. Now, the first time I showed it, I had to hold down the control key or hold down the command key on a Mac and go through and highlight all the cities and scroll down. Some of you might like to double click, right? Who likes to double click here? Okay, you can just double click to add them over. So you double click, so we can add them over by double clicking as well. So that's if we have 10, 15 cities in a certain county. That type of functionality is going to be helpful.
Does that work on the non-expanded version where you can double click and it?
No, on that short list,
Uh-huh.
then you'll just click once to highlight.
Okay. And comment and
Then you have to scroll down.
And then command and click it again, right?
Yeah.
But you can't just move down.
No, here,
Right, that's what he's saying.
I don't like to select them in here because I have to remember to hold down the control key.
Yes.
I have to remember how to hold down the control key. And if I forget,
Then you start.
It adds everything.
and then it just hits that 1.
Yep.
So a lot easier on that other window. So as I was getting to, that if we have 10, 15,
What I like
20
about that
cities.
too is that when you're going maybe slightly out of your real good knowledge area, let's say you're showing in Newport and you don't, I wouldn't necessarily know that there's Newport Coast and Newport Beach, that you have to click both for that whole area.
Oh, I see.
And so, and maybe other areas I'm not thinking of, but yeah.
Yeah, because there's another city that's on there. What's it called? Look at this.
Corona del Mar would be in that area. But yeah, you could look at the whole list and make sure you're not missing a little sub area that you wouldn't know otherwise. Even our canyon areas can be kind of interestingly coded.
Yeah, in those type of areas, it might be better to run a search by map,
That's true too.
or maybe really talk to your clients and don't just say, okay, where do you want to live? I mean, they're going to come out and just start saying that, but let them know you can search in different ways. Okay, yes, of course we can search by city or zip code or the entire county, but otherwise, hey, do you want to search within a certain distance for your work, a certain distance from a certain school?
And how would you do a certain distance from the beach? That's what I always have to do the math.
That one you would have to do the map.
You can just
because-
can't you just like, do, a shape around like a certain
Do you do that?
area too?
There's no functionality to search a certain distance from the water. You would have to manually create that as you're describing.
Okay.
Because otherwise, if you do a radius search from a certain, you know, let's say it's Huntington Beach Pier, it's just searching a certain radius.
Yeah.
Which is not exactly searching
Yeah.
from the coast.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd have to do that kind of visually from the map.
Okay.
But if you wanted to search a certain distance from where somebody works, then you could just select the distance here, and then you would input their work address into this field. But whether, again, it's somebody's work address there, or somebody's school address, or whatever center point, maybe they really like Disneyland, so maybe you'll put the Disneyland's address into that place, and it will search a radius from that address. But, so we just showed the functionality of selecting a lot of cities in a certain county, but maybe it's just 2 cities they don't want to search, they don't want to look in. They do want you to search all of Orange County, but mine is just like 2 cities. Maybe they don't want to be near the traffic where the stadium and Honda Center and the Disney area is, so maybe they say, okay, don't show me any homes in Anaheim and comma Orange. And so in that case, we'll do the not function here. So I have Orange County selected. Down below, I put Anaheim, comma, Orange, but then I have selected the not function. So it's gonna search all of Orange County, but not give us any results for Anaheim and Orange. That's the scenario.
Were you saying you couldn't do like within 1 mile of the beach?
No, correct.
I just did, and you have to put in a city and such, but I got like 9 or 6 properties 1 mile of the beach within Laguna.
But it's going to select a certain center point,
Yeah, not
and
like,
yes, search that distance,
not like from the.
but when it's searching.
Okay, it's gotta do a
It's gonna
radius,
be
is what you're
6,
saying.
whatever mileage,
Yeah,
only from that point to this way, that would be accurate, but then over here, it's gonna arc.
got it. Okay, I wasn't fully listening. I was playing with it while you were talking, sorry.
All right, one last kind of functionality of a different way you can offer them. Again, search by city, zip code, county, distance, but we could also search by drive time. Any of you use that functionality?
Yes.
Drive time, commute time. And let me just throw in some parameters here. All right, I won't put it, but let's say we put in search criteria, active, single family residence. Let's say we did put in a price point, bedrooms, bathrooms criteria, maybe square footage that they were looking for. So to run a search by drive time, commute time, you can proceed to the map tab, which many of you are familiar with the search by map drawing tools. But here, as I click to the map tab, instead of manually creating a shape myself with a rectangle or polygon, there's this icon here that has a car with the little clock. So I'll click on this car icon, where I would then put in somebody's, for example, work address. I was doing a training in La Habra one time, and I memorized the address of the Target over there. So I looked up Target. So let's say somebody works at this Target in La Habra, and let's just say they have to be there at
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
7:45.
This is awesome.
And then how long they want their commute to be. Let's say there's 10 minutes or less.
That's awesome.
And then this part is a little tricky. You get to choose what day you want it based off,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
which you don't really know.
Friday's gonna be more,
And it got complicated because before, it's like 2 years and beyond, we didn't get to choose the day. It was just, it was no selection of day. But back then, they did say it was, the average or the median it was based off of Tuesday or Wednesday. So I usually just choose Tuesday or Wednesday.
Gotcha.
And that's pretty accurate, like it's those Google Map record?
Yeah, pretty accurate, you know, there's a lot of
Variables.
data
It's
out there that we
accurate,
give
it's,
them on drive time, and, you know, when I type in my Waze, it's pretty on point, right? So all these programs with all this data, they're pretty accurate, right? All right, so here I put it, they need to get their target in Anaheim by 7:45, 10 minutes or less. I'm going based off of Tuesday, considering they work during the week. I'll click on add. So I'm creating an unusual shape based off of drive time, commute time.
Wow, that's
Getting to
cool.
that address by 7:45, based off of Tuesdays, and consider weekdays. And then those will be the results.
That's outstanding. Yeah. I mean, we don't have that very often, but
Yeah.
it's still pretty cool.
Cool.
Right, yeah, you may not need to use that, but you as an agent, letting them know, you can run a search this way, that way, drive time wise, showing your value and your expertise. Because if we do, when we get back to, if we do a search by map, if we do that type of commute search, then obviously it's gonna give us everything within that, whatever shape it does create, but we don't have to concern ourselves with knowing that there's some odd city in that area that we weren't really aware of, because if it's based off of the map, it's based off of the map. Especially around these parts, let's say Lake Forest, for example. You run a search in Lake Forest by city, you're gonna get certain results. You run a search city of Irvine, you're gonna get certain results. Certain homes in Lake Forest, you know, they know it says Lake Forest on it, everybody knows that they have a Lake Forest. On their tax record, it might still say Irvine. And, you know, obviously depending on what the listing agent has listed it on, that's gonna determine if it comes up in search results. But if we do it off of the map, it doesn't matter what city they put on it.
Right. So we're compensating for the bad agents.
She was mentioning MLS area. Who still searches by MLS area?
Certain places,
I mean,
Indian
yeah,
areas
yeah.
or.
Okay.
Lake
Oh, yeah.
Forest
Rock
or-
I use that all the time.
Right,
So some of you still search by MLS area?
Mhm.
But as we're discussing, we're counting on the listing agent to have put the correct MLS area on it.
Always the case.
And then the way the database is set up now, you know, a listing agent up in San Luis Obispo can take on a listing down here. They go to add the listing, they don't know the area,
Right.
they don't know the street names, right? So they might, I don't know, they might choose one. They're trying to add that listing that morning, they want to get it on the market, and they're like, they don't want to look it up, they'll like, choose one. Hopefully, and then. How do you, when you take on a listing, you know, not necessarily in an area that you, like, right around the corner, maybe 4 miles away, how do you look up to determine what the correct MLS area is on when you put your listing in?
Oh, like, is it?
How do you do- how do you do-
south?
how do
I
you
look at
figure
the
that
map
out?
and go,
I look at other
well,
listings, I don't
Okay,
know.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's the most simple way to do it.
As
At
long
the
as
point
it's
in time,
correct.
Yeah, I check a few, but
no,
yeah.
at the point in time when you ran the search for comparables for them, and you
Right.
got your comparables, okay, there's 5, 10 listings there, okay, oh, they're all this MLS area, okay. Pretty good chance that's the correct MLS area.
Yeah.
correct.
But it's right, like Mission Viejo has north, south, central, and south, so
it's like,
where are the
well,
dividing
I'm not
lines?
sure.
have a
Is
map,
there a
but
place that
doesn't
tells you for certain?
Yes,
Oh.
sure. But even like, let's say we don't wanna trust the listing agents, even though we ran a search for comps, so we're looking at the comparables. So let's just pretend. Now, let's say I ran a search for comps. This is not a search for comps, but it will look the same, it's just listings. And, actually, that's not what I wanted, but.
Do a plus, and then you'll get more.
I meant to do, oh, cause I did that drive time thing.
Oh. Well, then you have to start it again.
When you go to the map and you you zoom into that area where the comparable showed up. Let's say it was this area over here. And let's say that the comparable or that subject property is right here in this, on this corner. Then there's a layers icon right here, this layers icon. So when you ran a search for comps and you went to the map to see where they're at, you click on this layers icon, and then you check mark MLS areas. That will bring up the boundaries for the MLS areas.
Oh my God.
And
Oh my
here.
goodness, that's
No
awesome.
way.
Oh,
That is
that's
so
Wait,
cool.
so repeat,
So we can be
Yeah.
for sure.
so at the point in time you ran the search for comps,
So I'm gonna do that.
which you
You
would look
go
at
to the
the
map.
then you click on the map where it'll take you to that, where those comps are. You would click on this little layers icon and check mark MLS areas. Then those lines will show up
Oh
on the
my
map.
gosh, that's
And then
Showing
does
the-
that tell us what area
These are-
are we?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
STG,
this one's
WD,
NW.
and W.
This one's
yeah.
WD, this one's EC.
Excuse
So
me.
if, if our subject property is right in here, then we know that was NW.
So like that green box right there is in WD Woodbury,
Right.
the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, certain areas like
That was awesome.
Irvine, I didn't even know that they had such small,
Yeah.
so many.
That is awesome.
But definitely
Yeah.
other smaller cities like Fullerton, they don't have multiple areas.
All that
It's
has is
just
layers.
one.
Some layers.
All right, 11:08.
That's awesome.
That is
The last
awesome.
question.
There it is.
Oh, we could keep you going all day.
No, I feel like this is enough for my brain, so yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
like
is really
the
good.
option.
When we get back to our favorite searches, is there a way to, manage those right at that homepage without having to go into the search and delete it? It's like several clicks away.
Yes, to like remove a favorite search.
Correct, like say I have these favorites and like they're older clients who've done,
Right,
movements
so
and wanna get rid of that.
From here,
Uh-huh,
instead of clicking to the search,
Uh-huh.
just click on manage.
right,
And then that simply takes us to the same searches
right.
where I could either,
You can
let's say
delete it there. Yeah.
Let's say I'll just delete that one. Delete it.
I don't wanna delete it, don't wanna make it a favorite. I
So
want,
to unmark it as a favorite,
do I have to go
then
through the
you,
steps?
then, so
Settings
manage,
And then check it.
settings,
And,
uncheck it,
okay.
and then save it.
I have a question as well. And it may this seems so silly, but say you're running a search and you're saying, okay, I want an active home in Mission Viejo and I want it to have, I don't know, laundry feature, dryer included. And then